The Team Never Quit podcast is proudly sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. Navy Federal's new Cash Rewards Plus card will have you earning unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Go check out NavyFederal.org for more info. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you like to see the show. So if you're watching us today, I just wanted to let you know you might notice a little bit different of a setup. We just had a studio makeover, so let us know what you think in the comments. We would love to see your thoughts.
Hey, it's all gonna come down to you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, this was me and Mama. But anyways, with that being said, let's get to our Patreon question of the day. And today we have, do you have any sort of comfort TV show or movie that you just always put on to feel comforted?
I do. Golden Girls is my jam. When I need to relax, I always look for Golden Girls and put it on. If Marcus isn't home, that's what's on the TV.
What do you got?
Lord of the Rings.
Really?
In the Shire.
Yeah. A lot of that, though. That's a good one. I got Big Lebowski is the movie and Lonesome Dove. Those are my two.
I love Lonesome Dove too. We put that on if it's raining.
If it's raining
outside. We always have Lonesome Dove on the TV.
Especially if it's cold and the fire's going.
Mm-hmm.
She hates the Big Lebowski.
I hate the phone ringing scene.
The cell phone scene in the bowling alley.
I've only seen them once.
Oh my gosh.
Well, shame on you, man.
There's a scene in that movie where the phone rings for an obnoxious time.
They did it on purpose.
Like,
you could tell the Coen brothers were like, hey, man, this is...
And I grew up in the era of like the phone on the wall and someone go answer it when it's ringing. So if it's ringing too much, it drives me freaking crazy. I'm like, answer the damn phone. Somebody
That's
answer
funny.
the phone.
What's yours?
You know, I would probably say Modern Family. I really love that TV show.
You are always watching.
Yeah, you've said that. If you see, we're talking about that in Rome.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think I put it on pretty much every night to fall asleep. It's the best.
Yeah. That's your era.
Yeah. They just got good jokes. I think the writers did a great job. Amazing job picking the cast. I mean, everybody just hits their spot.
Yeah.
It must, man. They won a lot of awards. With
Yeah,
that.
they did.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, that was a good question, man. All right, brother, you ready? Start this. All right, we're gonna back it all the way up. Mr. Ben Souders, take us back. Where were you born, man? I don't think I ever asked you this, by the way.
I was born in central Pennsylvania, central southern Pennsylvania, very rural. And that's where the accent is from. It's not Canadian. I know a lot of folks think it's Canadian, but it's central Pennsylvania, Huntington County, and just very rural.
When you say that word, does everyone in Pennsylvania know exactly what you're talking about? Or is it so rural they don't even know?
It's so rural, most don't even know. And it's not big compared to Texas, but for kind of the mid-Atlantic region, decent sized state. So a lot of people have never heard of it. It's Appalachia, God's country up there. And yeah, was born there. The accent is kind of side note on that. Years later in college, did a history of the English language and kind of finding out that the way, like, my generation doesn't talk near like the old timers. The old timers legit talk like they just got off the boat, and it's a combination of German and Scots-Irish, and they were just so isolated for 200 years. Like, my family was there in the 1700s and fought in the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War. I mean, my family has its roots there, since pretty much the start of everything. And just hearing them talk, I mean, a lot of them are gone now, but it's definitely, it's an old world combination accent. And from there, just blue collar family. And
What'd you do growing up? Did you play sports or were you outside?
I was mostly outside. I played baseball some, and I wrestled for a year, but the sport that I was most into was track. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu when the UFC started to kind of become popular. I started going into that. So kind of the techniques of that are going to your back, getting people in the guard and everything. Then when I wrestled in 10th grade and kind of, you instantly go to your back. That's not it's not the best. So I stopped on that and just kind of did jiu-jitsu. But as far as sports, I mean, I worked out. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. I started working out in 8th grade because in 3rd grade, I had, Dad brought home a documentary, The SEALs in Vietnam. I'm sure you've seen that one.
Is that what got you?
Yeah.
All right, I was going to ask, that was my next question.
Yeah.
How'd you get involved in the SEALs? How'd you even find out about it? Your dad?
Because dad was in the Army, and then
Are you a brat?
no,
Okay.
we stayed in one place. He was active duty Army, and then he went National Guard.
Right on.
And then we would go camping. There was a good friend of his, Dutch, that we would go camping our families together. And they were both Army National Guard and just really, really patriotic. And I thought they were really cool. I just kind of liked their mentality and everything. And, they just seemed cool. And yeah, Dad brought home the SEAL documentary and just the songs that they were singing. I thought that was awesome. The clips of just them being in Vietnam, the training and everything. And that's what I wanted to be since 3rd grade. So every time I'd have a friend come over, we'd play guns, make them go out in the woods, playing guns, building forts, climbing, kind of typical boy stuff. And then in 8th grade, just decided, teenager now, it's time to start working out. And so I focused more on training on my own, getting up at 5 a.m. We used to live in a trailer, and then we moved into a house right beside it. We kept this little addition that was part of the trailer. Still had electricity there, but I would go out and school day mornings at 5 a.m. And in the wintertime, the fluorescent light, it wouldn't turn on because I'd have to light the wood stove. And so I'm working out by a candle. So when I would play some of these other sports I didn't see that drive. I didn't kind of see that drive of
Oh, it didn't have you.
doing.
Didn't capture you like that did.
It didn't capture me.
I remember when I got it too. When that happened, when you make the transition over, when your calling becomes, we're like, I want to do that. And those workouts, those crazy workouts in the cold that you would get up early for, knowing when we got into the SEAL teams, you wouldn't do that. Like, I'm getting up there's no, you know what I'm talking about? It's funny how that shifts, but there's something that actually captures you. You can't help it. Everything you do revolves around training to become a SEAL. I remember that feeling.
It does. I mean, the mentality of eating healthy.
Everything changes. I mean, if you had a problem with anything, it went away.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you were focused on that so much that everything that had you beforehand that didn't involve getting you ready to go into the SEAL teams, I remember that too. It just went away.
And guys that I've worked with since then that went on to become maybe Division I athlete or some sort of like the guys that became Division I athletes had that same mentality.
Yeah.
But unless guys were training to go do that, I just saw a lot of folks just kind of did the 3 months of sports and then they didn't do anything else. And this was year round. Get home from school, then run, whether it was in the rain, go for 4-mile trail run through the ridges and everything, and just kind of do that. And so that was kind of my sports. And then went into the Navy then a month after graduating high school.
What year was that?
2000.
Yeah.
Did your dad, was he in Vietnam?
He missed the draft by a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what did he say when you said you wanted to be a SEAL?
They were supportive.
They were.
Everybody, most people were supportive. It wasn't until later. And
That's because they had no idea what we were.
yeah,
This was back in the 1900s, man. I remember that. Everyone's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Because they didn't know. We had Charlie Sheen. He's the one that got me. That documentary you're talking about, and then Charlie Sheen and Navy SEALs movie got me.
How old were you when you saw that?
15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then my dad knew what SEALs were. We kind of heard it from them. And then we didn't have the internet, right? We didn't have that TV where you could get those cool movies in the beginning. And
well, you had met Mike Thornton.
Yeah. Then there's some SEALs that came in my life, and I just remember seeing them, and you remember how they're larger than life, right?
Yeah.
Freaking SEALs, man. And that helped.
Mike Thornton lived in the town he was growing up in.
Yeah.
So, for
Matter
those
of fact,
who
he said
don't
if I
know-
was an instructor, I'd make you quit. That's what he told me. he tried to call me out, bro. I mean, right there.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I freaking love that man.
For our listeners, Mike Thornton is a Vietnam veteran that was awarded the Medal of Honor. So
For
he's
actually actions and rescuing a recipient.
another
Another
Medal of
Navy SEAL
Honor.
who is a Medal of Honor recipient.
Yeah, he's
I got the craziest story.
and he was
This is a
living
rabbit
in the
hole.
same town.
This is what happens.
Yeah, but it's good context. Yeah,
He spoke at the dedication for Danny's statue in Littleton
Yeah.
back in I think 2007, and that was the one and only time I'd ever met him. But he just had that. I
He's
just
still
remember that
huge.
presence.
He's still
Yeah.
he's still big.
Yeah, and
He's a country dude too, man.
the charisma he had. It's just the talk that he gave.
He does.
It made everybody.
You know what
wanna
that is?
just,
Confidence.
Yeah,
you
Yep.
got that swinging.
it hyped you up.
it definitely hyped everybody up. It was just like it was kind of like one of those things of the king riding on the horse, clanging his sword against the spears of everybody lined up, and then kind of charging, kind of like
Yeah.
the Aragorn speech and Lord,
Yeah, yeah.
my Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings
reference.
coming. Yeah.
So,
Hey, that
Yeah.
works.
yeah,
That kind of stuff works, man. You can get a
Absolutely.
human fired up if you know
Yeah.
how to do it. Some of them guys get up there and they can look the part and they'll fire you up. Some of them can speak it and look it. Man, he can do that for sure.
So you graduated high school in 2000, or that's when you went in?
I graduated in 2000 and then joined the Navy a month after graduating.
Okay.
And then I had the SEAL contract, and I mean it was it was definitely an eye opener because
So when you showed it to Buds,
even in A school, because we never had a swim team. We were a very small country school. We never had a swim team.
oh, you were one of those.
We didn't have. I was trying to learn how to do the side stroke in boot camp.
in boot camp.
On,
You're one of
on the
those.
floor, like
Nice.
trying to learn how to do all that.
Your
So-
recruiter didn't hook. I guess he did hook you up. That's what recruiters do, man. They're like, oh no, you'll be fine. You don't know how to swim, even if you want to be a SEAL, right?
It was so it was it was something, but just showing up to Buds. I mean, the physical part was definitely hard. I've always just been an average athlete, but to just be there, I felt like, I mean, all those years of seeing the documentaries, trying to read the books, the Marcinko books as well. Marcinko was one that
Oh yeah, of course.
I got to meet him. Once I got to the team, he came to a book signing, and I was like, meet him. That was great. Childhood hero. But just seeing all the different stuff, the dry proofing, the 50-meter underwater swim, everything was like, you've seen, sorry, I'm stuttering here.
No, man.
Like a movie or place that you've always wanted to visit, and then there you are. And everyone around me, my opinion, were movie stars. I was just so happy to be there. And, it was, definitely.
I remember there's a feeling that goes with being when you're watching the documentaries and you're looking at those guys because they're always trying to fire up. They're saying they're always yelling. So when you're watching it, it's entertaining, and you're like, oh, I want to be fired up like that. Here's the kick: when you're in the program, there's a feeling that goes with being a student that it is rough. I mean, it's just a kick in the shorts, just being there, not even doing anything. Just being in the program is tough. There's that overall feeling that goes with it. I'll never forget that part.
There's got to be a pressure too.
That's what I'm talking about. There's
Yeah.
a pressure feeling that goes with just being a student all the time.
Definitely.
We don't ever talk about that.
It's definitely, it's almost just, it's kind of like, this isn't even quite a comparison, but of just having to take a final exam every week, several times a week. That was kind of what it was, that your career is hinging on this 4-mile run, so course, this 2-mile swim. Every week you had to.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
complete that.
Given to you by a bully.
Yes.
Given to you by a bully. And then the people around, I mean, like that stress, that gut stress that you get when you're like, oh, dude, oh man, not only if I got to pass this, but then you worry about an ass whooping while we're doing something.
Yeah.
You could be in the middle of an evolution doing something and they'll kick your ass.
What buzz class were you?
236.
So you were with Murphy.
Yes, he got rolled back into my class.
And do you have
Yeah.
any defining moments with him?
He was overall, he was well respected. There was a couple of the officers that it was him and I think two others that everybody loved. He was one of those ones that we considered him more enlisted than officer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, man,
He was, for sure.
He was definitely well liked. And we, not so much a, well, yeah, there was a, I think, third phase. Something happened. Sorry. Bud's instructors would always tell him, Murphy, why did you have to do this? He's like talking in his New York Bugs Bunny accent. It's because I have weak genes.
He would have been a fantastic sergeant major.
Yeah.
Or a master chief. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's freaking smart ass comment. And he had rank, so you couldn't,
Yeah.
you couldn't talk back. He was masterful at that for sure.
And then
He said he had weak genes.
because I guess he got rolled back because
Yeah, weak genetics, what do you say?
I think when he was doing drying proofing, do you remember when some guys would use the rope and other guys would have that Velcro?
Velcro thing?
And he had the Velcro thing. I guess it cut him.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
why
he
he didn't use those.
He got cellulitis. And that's why they were like, Murphy, why'd you get roped back? Because I have weak genes,
And a flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
The story that he was known for was an SQT. And when we were doing MAR ops and we were doing the 1-inch tubular tying around, instructors kept saying, use scissors, don't be using your knife. So Murphy had his SRK knife and ended up jamming a hole into the Zodiac.
The boat.
And so how in the Navy, how you have your rank of your A school of IC2 so-and-so or STG or whatever. He was SRK Murphy. That was his
Nice.
That was his rank and his name then after
God,
that.
God. SRK Murphy. I forgot about that. I forgot he jammed a hole in that boat with his knife. Were y'all out when he did that? Or were y'all just rigging?
We were rigging.
Rigging, yeah. Still, it doesn't matter.
In
Doesn't
one of
matter.
those inflatable boats?
Yeah, with a rubber boat.
So
With
That
a-
you have
yeah.
to carry on your head?
This was
No,
one
no,
that
it
was
was
bigger. This was
Operational boat.
Oh,
Like an
okay.
actual
with the
operational
engines
boat.
on.
Oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
engines are on.
Yeah, and he just jammed it right in.
Oh my gosh.
God, dude, I could see the expression on his face when he did that too. All the air coming out of him trying to hold it down and hide it. He did.
That's hilarious. How were you on the O course? I'm sure with you running in the woods and all that, it might not have given you a hard
Yeah,
time.
what was your cross to bear in Buds too?
Physically, the physical part was the hardest for me. I had gone growing up in high school and everything to try to train. I was smart about it, as smart as you could be, I guess, of winter plunges, no more than 5 minutes in whether there was snow or ice or anything. So the water was still cold, but I was used to that. And then the 50-meter underwater swim, the drying proofing, everything like that I was able to do first time, because just watching the documentaries actually did help. And I would go try to practice in the swimming pool. I wouldn't tie my hands, but just try to float. That stuff was always, but the physical part, just being an average athlete, was definitely the difficult part for me. And I know most guys say at one point they've thought of quitting. I honestly, because I wanted it for so long, I never thought I would quit. Honest truth. But lots of times with the timed evolutions, I just thought, man, I don't know if I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna get.
It gets in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It gets in there somewhere.
It was just one of those things that I just thought I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And before I went in, did a lot of praying about it. Just, it was one of those things that it was such a big deal. Just praying and constantly asking, Lord, you want me to do this? There's so many people fail. I don't want to just go in and fail. If this is what you want me to do, show me a sign. And I think I was in 11th grade and I had gone up. There's this mountain back home and just walked up. I was praying and I was up there, I don't know how many hours, just kind of cloudy day and everything. And just, I ended up seeing a sign. And that's kind of one of the things then that kept me through. I had a lot of, because there were times where you'd fail a swim. The swimming was the hardest. There was about 6 of us that never bunch of us had never, well, I didn't see the ocean till I forget how old I was. A lot of guys had never seen the ocean till they joined the Navy. It was just swimming was a hard thing. And we just thought, man, we're going to make it. And that's just one of the things I kept in the back of my head. Lord showed me a sign.
What was
so
it?
I'm going to make it. I just saw Trident up in the sky. It's the only time I've ever seen, I've never really had any.
Because there's a difference
experience
between
like that.
swimming in the ocean and swimming through it.
Yes.
Those two different things.
Absolutely.
That gets most of us, is the first time they throw you in there with you and your partner, and you got to do that.
You can't guide.
Can't guide.
You're swimming and you look.
Trying to
and you're
figure out who
going-
the guide is.
And you're heading in the shore. You're going perpendicular instead of there, so you end up.
Or completely wrong direction. You won't even know it.
Yeah.
That's how difficult it is out there.
Is it at some point with just fatigue and everything, is it an optical illusion if you think you're swimming towards the shore?
Well, what happens is you don't think you're covering any ground.
Oh.
And that's kind of demoralizing too. Because there's no relative distance because the water keeps moving up and down. So you can't really see the shoreline. So you see things in the distance. And then you're like, oh, I'm close. And then it goes, no, I'm not. You know, it's always not. Oh, and then the currents.
Yeah.
Currents will carry you a mile the wrong direction. You won't even know it.
My gosh. I would hate that.
Dude, that's one of the most difficult things.
Especially with it being so cold in California waters.
Well, that's the thing is you get pissed off about your distance, and then for a second, and then you get pissed off about how cold you were. It would change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
There's always something to be mad about.
We had a really good class leader, and you know, overall, all of our officers, all of our leadership and everything, just really good dudes. And there was about 6 of us where they told us third phase, brought us in, you know, everybody was, you know, a bunch of hillbillies and cowboys, never seen the ocean. If you guys fail one more swim, you're done. You're out of here. And so our class leader paired us up with the fastest swimmers in the class.
That's what we had to do.
I knocked off 10 minutes of my time just because he was able to
Your guide. Who's guiding you?
And then he was pushing, just like, come on. And you're just flying through there. And that I really respected just at that early level, seeing kind of that leadership, and that, to me, things like that are small parts of that brotherhood of just
that's where it's created.
Taking care.
That's where it's created. That's the only reason I made it. I had that with the run. I couldn't get through the run, and JB pulled me, but he couldn't swim. So I had to pull him through the swim. And that was where that love came in right there. Because he's willing to sacrifice. They're willing to sacrifice their careers too to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you fail doing that, then you both fail.
Yep.
And we didn't. But then the instructor's like, well, good job. Because if you wouldn't have passed, it'd have been like, well, you know how they do us.
Is that an instructor that's telling them to do that, or is that a leader within the BUDS class, like an officer that's doing that?
With us, it was the leadership in our class told us to do it, and then the instructor saw it. And we're like, and the leadership fessed right up. Like, I command, you know, I told them to do that. And they were like, good job. You know, it's the craziest thing with team guys, man.
Yeah.
They're I don't know what that is. We do that though. We do that. What was your winter class? What was 236? Morgan was 237.
Yeah, I remember him, and yeah,
Y'all went through Buzz together. Who was y'all's class lead? Is he still alive?
Yes, he's
Still in?
No, he got out. I talked to him, I think back when I used to have a LinkedIn a couple years ago.
Just MySpace?
Messaged me.
Are you ready for cold and flu season? Because now's the best time to get your flu vaccine, and GoodRx is here to help. You can find discounts on vaccines, and if you do end up getting sick, you can save big on your cold and flu medicine as well. GoodRx is free, super easy to use, and accepted at all major pharmacies like Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and plenty more out there. And even if you do have insurance, GoodRx might still beat your copay price. It works with or without insurance, so might as well just go take a look, right? I've used GoodRx for all of my allergy meds, and honestly, even with my insurance, it's still cheaper. So it saved me a lot, and I've shared it with friends, and they've all had the same experience. So this flu season, stay prepared with GoodRx. Go to goodrx.com/TNQ. That's goodrx.com/TNQ.
Shane was the one with.
Oh, I know. Shane was all over that. He's the one that taught me about it.
Really?
Oh, bro, he was so into that. I'll never. You remember that, right? We'd sit in that computer room. He was always in there. Freaking Shane Patton, man. He was the guru on that MySpace thing.
I wonder if
He's
his
like, Mark, you gotta
MySpace
see
would
this, man.
still be up. Like if you could still look.
Somebody
up
called
Shane's-
Todd, right? Isn't that his name? Tim? Well, who's your first friend
The owner.
in MySpace?
Was it Mike?
The owner of MySpace.
That guy that wore the white T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
He was the first friend you got, right?
Yeah.
I do not remember
It's
that,
Todd.
but I
It's Todd.
loved
It's Todd.
MySpace. I wonder if it's still a thing. Like if you could still look up.
I still tell
people's-
people to hit me up on there
Oh my gosh.
or
That's
send me a
hilarious.
fax.
Yeah.
I like doing that. Hey, hit me up with a fax.
That would be so cool if we could look up Shane's MySpace.
I tried looking it up a while back. I couldn't find it because he's there standing without his shirt on. He's like, I should have been a porn star. Like he's just there.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, he
with
was
that
great.
written. He was. He-
Oh, dude,
'cause-
I miss him, man.
Yeah.
That's
He was too young.
hilarious.
Yeah. He just.
Oh, he got pulled out early. That's how you know he's a good one, man.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, so you went to SDB first?
Yes.
So special deliveries, but you're at 2, so you're Virginia. You went straight. Did you pick that?
No.
I didn't think so.
I
What'd you put on your dream sheet?
I wanted to go to SEAL Team 4 because of just watching all those Vietnam documentaries back
And
when
yeah,
they still
sure.
had the teams going to the
Jungle.
different spots because
Yeah.
9/11 didn't happen until we were at La Posta. And so everything, well, I guess we hadn't.
Oh, dude, that's right. You were in Buds when that happened. What was that even like?
We were at La Posta and we were doing PT. And I remember it was daylight. It was the reconnaissance week.
Yeah.
We were doing PT and the instructors brought us into their lounge and just we were watching all that. And then because Murphy was from New York, it was kind of hitting him different. And then
Oh, he's a big time New Yorker.
mhm.
Well, and he had a
Freaking-
good friend that was
Yeah,
with the fire department.
His family.
right?
He's got family that are all of them are firefighters or a cop, and then they switch. It's the craziest phenomenon that happens up there, man. But he was littered with all that. Family full of them, sure.
Yeah, he was there. Just you could see it was really affecting him. And then they sent us out for I think at least 2 days, maybe 3 days for that reconnaissance training. Never heard any updates or anything. We didn't know what was going on. And then we got back, and one of the instructors is like, "We're going to Afghanistan to kill the Taliban."
Oh my gosh.
Is that just like that too? I bet, right?
That's how he said it.
Most of us didn't even know where that was at on a map, bro.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, so 236, what was graduation like? Did your parents come out from Pennsylvania?
They did. They had.
You were the
they-
last Buds graduation, right?
No, we were the second class to get our Tridents out of SQT.
SQT.
though.
Okay, that's right.
And we still had the traditional Captain Rick Smethers was the
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
rest in
Everybody knows who.
peace.
Yeah.
Good man. He was the CEO, and then we had Herschel Davis was our speaker.
Yep.
He had the FDNY hat on, and he was
That's
pretty
cool.
fired up.
Wow.
And then
That's who y'all had.
we had Herschel Davis.
Oh man, I love that guy.
Yeah,
I tell you something, man. On that documentary, he's one of the ones that sold me on being a team guy.
that crooked
That
mustache.
freaking mustache of his is sitting sideways, and he's
Yeah.
sitting there. He's like, we come out, and I wish I had some more targets to assault. And I was like, I freaking love that guy. New granddad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've ran into him a couple times. One time in Vegas, dude, crusty. That's what a SEAL Master Chief's supposed to look like. That sucker right
Yeah.
there, and talk like him. He didn't give a shit, man. He just tell how it is. Yeah, great dude, man. That's good you had him.
Yeah, because just a year earlier than that, I have no idea who my high school graduation speaker was, but my Bud's graduation speaker, because it was
Never forget it.
It was Herschel Davis, and I have no idea even in 2015 who my college graduation speaker was.
Oh
but
my
I
gosh.
remember the Bud's graduation, old Herschel giving
Wow.
the talk.
Well, and that had to be so powerful with 9/11 just happening. Like you were the fresh newbies coming out to go to war. I mean,
It was it was definitely a breath of fresh air because I don't know how long you were in A school. I think you were.
I'm an 18 Delta. I didn't have to go to A school. I went straight to the Army. Yeah, they sent me straight to the Army.
Okay.
Right after Buds.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I just signed up. I was like, how do I become a SEAL? And they're like, here, sign this. I'm like, roger that. And then here I am. But I didn't have to go through that like y'all did.
Because I had to go 6 months before Buds. For whatever reason, one of the source ratings. And pre 9/11, I remember very distinctly after graduating boot camp, and I had to go to some little course before it started, and they were sending paper, and everybody had to write why you joined, and I wrote patriotism, and everybody just wrote join to travel, join for college, join for this, and I wrote patriotism, and they said legit. The instructor said, "No, really, why did you join?" I said, "Patriotism." "No, why? Come on, why did you join?" And I was like, "To travel."
Yeah.
Whatever.
You wanting me to change my answer?
And then getting the
What
Buds.
would be a proper answer?
and getting to Buds and seeing guys with American flags and being patriotic. And then especially with that shift, I know a lot of guys that have seen the transition will talk about just that patriotism, just that overall.
You can feel it in there.
You definitely feel it.
Especially in the compound.
Yeah.
You can feel it as soon as you go through that gate. It just feels different in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know there's something dangerous in there. For sure, man.
And that's why it was disappointing at first to get sent to SDV, but I'm really, really glad I went now.
It's the best now. It's the best now.
It is. You have to,
bro.
You have to try out now. It's one of
now
those things where
big deal.
Absolutely.
How about that? All the boys at 6 are like, yeah, I was at 6. I was like, so nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like telling the other teams. I'll say honestly, SDV guys are the hardest. No, they're not. I'm not talking about your CQC tactics, and all that. I'm meaning we're the hardest. 8-hour dives.
You can ask them; they'll say it
in the cold water.
Yeah,
and
man.
A lot of guys will finally be like, "Yeah, you're right," because we were the. You remember? Are you a SEAL? Just SDV?
Yeah,
there used to be that.
There used to be a difference.
Yeah,
and now I challenge anybody to go up to any team guy if you know there's guys a SEAL and be like, "What's the hardest SEAL team in the community?" And they'll tell you. If they don't say SDVs, you say SDVs, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
The funniest way,
so long or what?
just everything. It's just hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's not.
Yeah.
There's this one guy. I think he was a chief, not just a chief. He was a chief, and I was just going out to SDVs. We were at McPee's drinking, and he goes, "Right, where you going, bro?" And I was like, "SDV 1." He's like, "Shit." God, dude, he looked the part too, man. He's like, "Shit, bro." He's like, I keep a bag of cocaine in my locker just in case I get orders there. He goes, I'm going to walk into the CO's desk, slap it on there, and do a rail right in front of him and go, not going. He goes, that's how hard that team is. That's what he said to me. And I was new. I had no idea. I was like, well, how hard can it freaking be, man? He's like, just wait. And all the instructors are like, hey, you think you're cold, wet, and miserable? Just freaking wait.
Yeah. Yep.
And I thought they were joking. I just kind of like, nope. I'll never forget second phase instructor Calvin walked up on the whiteboard, grabbed a marker, goes, who's going STVs? And me, I'm back there raising my hand. He's like, he drew a big penis on the freaking board and he drew two dudes riding on it. He goes, here you go. He goes, it sucks that bad.
Yeah.
It's that hard. And I'm like, okay, roger that, man. It was.
It is.
Freaking every bit of it. They weren't lying, man.
It's that, and then it's also too, you know that meme where there's that kid, he's kind of looking like this. He's like, you guys are getting paid. It's kind of one of those where when I would augment other teams for some training, land warfare, what have you, and then the cadre would say, okay, we're going to have a half day on Friday and then Saturday, Sunday off. And it was always,
yeah, I couldn't believe that.
You guys get the weekends off. Because a lot of times, whether it was a 3-week trip to Pickett or wherever, it was 7 days a week. Or if it was a 3-month training trip, it was 6 days a week. And it was long days. And then
dude, half days were 12 hours.
Yeah.
That was a half a day, 12 hours.
That is crazy.
And it's
because of our diving. Because we were under the water so long, you had to be there. On the weekend diving was.
So what's the difference between SDV? I know geographically, SDV2 is in Virginia and 1 is in Hawaii, but what's the difference in the team? What are y'all doing that's different?
We can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can't talk about that.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
No way.
Okay.
But that's freaking.
But y'all are
Man, y'all had the worst because we were in Hawaii, right? At least the water was
Yeah.
tempered. You know, it was clear. You could open up the canopies and see everything during the day if we were lucky enough to do a day dive. But you guys had the worst. Freaking cold weather, man.
We could see about arm's length in the Little
God.
Creek Harbor. There was about arm's length, and then 200 years of folks tossing whatever over the side and all the creosote on there. They're like, make sure you guys don't have any exposed skin. Do not touch the bottom, because I know different guys would get chemical burns.
Chemical burns.
Any exposed skin if you would go down and touch the mud. And then make sure you guys rinse your ears out whenever you shower at the end, because just how polluted everything was. And it was just, it was
Man,
so
dude,
cold.
yeah, we had it
So
good on
cold.
that. Every now and again, we do an excursion dive and go look at the sunken battleships, Utah and the Arizona. We were the only people allowed in the water, and to see that kind of stuff, that's true memorial.
Yeah.
From the top, you can't tell what it is, but as soon as your head goes underwater and you can see it, that's completely different, man. So there were some benefits to being out there. But you guys, we would always say that in the middle of probably 8-hour dive, right at the end of it, and freezing to death, fixing to die. Be like, hey, at least we're not two.
One of the advantages we had, though, was when we would do kind of our land warfare training, we would just have to go to a couple hours to pick it. And I know a lot of times you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
you guys had to fly to.
it was the worst, dude.
Yeah.
God. We got a sea, air, and land specialist. We were the air specialist because
Yeah.
we were never home. We were always in the air or underwater. It was the craziest thing. That part did suck. But that was the give and take. You guys had to deal with the real cold water, and we had to deal with the travel. But
cold
whatever.
water in the winter.
And
But
we're
it warmed up in the summer, right?
It did warm up in the summer, but their idea of warm weather diving in the wintertime was they would send us to Panama City, Florida, which maybe was 10 degrees warmer. I remember at the dip tank where you would test to see bubbles for the rig, busting through a sheet of ice
Mm.
in Panama City. I'm just like, why didn't we just stay in Virginia?
Hey, it can get cold down there too.
Oh yeah, Marcus and I go
It's
to
freaking real cold.
We go to Pensacola for his physical therapy every year in February, and there are times where we can't cross the bridge because it's frozen.
Wow.
It's I
Yeah.
mean, people think Florida's always sunny, but maybe down in the Keys or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but when you're up in the Panhandle, it still gets
Like
cold.
the SDV guys have a reputation for being pissed off all the time and violent. It's like because we're in the water all the time, and it upsets you. You're just so mad because it's so. I mean, can't
Yeah.
yell at it, but can't yell back at it. Can't say nothing. Matter of fact, and there's when we get out of there, everyone's freaking wide awake. You're
Yeah.
wide awake and pissed.
And I'll tell you somebody else that doesn't get the recognition are the Trident shelter divers.
Oh, dude, they don't
That
get
are-
any, none.
They're
People don't even know they exist.
in the cold. And those
How about
guys,
those freaking guys?
Man, they're just.
During what was your longest time on a submarine? Doing sub-ops? A week?
I think 2 weeks.
2
was
weeks?
the most
Yeah,
I
2 weeks.
did.
Excuse me, 2 weeks. Yeah, those guys. Hey, you got all you divers out there, from your hard hats to your thanks, man.
Absolutely.
I don't think I ever told y'all that. You know, there's
So-
that animosity, there's that competition
Yeah.
between all of us. So I don't ever think I outright told them thanks.
Okay, did you ever do the thing in the is it the Charlie Sheen movie that has the scene where the submarine's coming out of the water?
Yeah, that's what he did.
Okay, you did that too?
Yeah.
Like where you kind of swim up and board the submarine as it's just coming out of the water. Do you know what I'm talking about? What do you call that?
Sub-ops is what we're talking about.
Sub-ops. Okay.
It's like cast and recovery.
Oh,
When the sub
okay.
picks us up, we're
Yeah.
out there floating in the water. That's one of the coolest things we get. It's pretty intimidating, but it's really cool.
hmm
So were you excited when you got word that you were going to augment with 10 and go to Afghanistan?
I was wanting to go to Afghanistan more so than Iraq, just because I was never really interested in the urban style of combat. Just never ever interested me. And then just to see that Afghanistan with the mountains and everything, just more rural. Just the name Afghanistan sounded cool, and it was more of the original intent of what happened in 9/11
Yeah.
to still go there and get some payback, and that was exciting. And then meeting the Team 10 guys, really good guys, just
They were.
really good.
We got
guys.
lucky, man.
We got really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I got really lucky with the platoons that I was in as well, I had really good leadership in my platoons at SDV Team 2. Just guys that some deployed with, some ended up going to Iraq, and then going to Afghanistan and being around Team 10. It was just one of those things that just, man, such good guys.
Okay, so with SDVs, when they pull us out of the water, they break us in half, and then they separate us and they put us and they augment us with other SEAL teams and other platoons. So we're kind of like the bastards.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of show up, for those of you who aren't familiar. And so he came from the West Coast or East Coast and got strapped with 10, and then I came from the West Coast and got hooked up with 10 as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a lot of people think that Marcus was in SEAL Team 10 because of
we were technically.
Yeah.
It's hard to see.
yeah.
This is a rub when you try to explain stuff to civilians, and they like, well, we weren't at. I'm like, no, technically I was,
Yeah.
but I wasn't, kind of deal. When did you get out there? You remember what month that was?
I think it was April.
April, right?
April 17th,
April, that's what I thought.
think. And it's kind of the best example that I can give. Being an SDV guy back then, like Marcus said, definitely not like today where they finally get the recognition. But back then, you were the redheaded stepchildren, and it just
They didn't know what we did.
and they just it was like being a new guy all over again. Team 10 didn't do that to us, but just in general, when I would augment different
They were really
teams,
cool about that, actually.
Team 10 was really cool.
I mean, they were from the head shed down.
Most teams you felt like the new kid walking in the cafeteria. And the best example I can give, this is kind of going back with the movie. You guys ever seen the movie Stir Crazy?
Of course.
So
Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder.
when they first go to prison, Richard Pryor.
That's right. That's right.
Gotta get bad. Gotta
I'm
get
bad.
bad, Jack.
Yeah.
That's how you have to be. You're like, that's right. I'm bad. You're just like you're walking into prison.
That's exactly how I did that too. We got out of the back of that truck.
How it is.
All your gear, come walking back in, acting like it's not heavy. All the guys are looking like, "What's up, man?" Yep, that's true. We have to do that.
Oh my gosh. And we haven't even talked about this, but you were at SDV 2 with Danny.
Yes.
Danny Dietz.
Yeah, did second platoon with him.
And y'all actually favor each other a lot in your looks. So I've noticed a lot of people in pictures will say, "Oh, that's Danny Dietz," but it was actually you.
Mm-hmm.
We all roommates too?
No, we
Hey,
weren't
wait.
roommates.
No, no, excuse me.
Yeah.
We had our own rooms, but I mean, right next door to each other, right?
Yeah, we were in the same B hut.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And then he was in the room down the hall, and yeah, they definitely always got us mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh, when your beard's up,
Yeah.
everybody out there, we look different.
There were times he was comms guy, and I knew nothing about comms, and there were times guys would pull me. They're like, "Hey, I need you to come help me with the inventory." And I'm there trying to do. They're like, "Grab the such and such." What?
Yeah.
And I would have no idea what I was doing, and finally it dawned on me, because I'm just one time. You mean Danny? Aren't you Danny? No.
Yeah.
I'd have to go get him then to help with the stuff. And then after we did that song, guys were coming up, shaking Danny's hand. "Hey, good job on the song." And Danny was, I didn't play any song. They got me and Shane mixed up some too once in a while.
I can see that.
Funny.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Is there anything that you want to say about Danny?
He was a good guy from the start. I remember when I first showed up to SDV, earliest memory of him, he always went around without a shirt. He was ripped like Bruce Lee. And he was, I remember, I think my first day there, he got in trouble. One of the older guys, "Dude, get your shirt on," because he's walking through the team like that. But he always came up to me, because I was going to be the ordnance rep, and he had been the ordnance rep as well. For listeners, is the platoon has a representative that you keep track of the different guns and ammunition. You have to do the different admin stuff of that. And Danny showed me how to use the binder back when we still did a lot of the paperwork style. Just was always trying to mentor. He was really nice to everybody, whether they were SEAL, diver, or a tech, either one. He tried to treat
best
everybody.
group of guys out there. 10 had the best. That was the best troop
Absolutely.
from the skipper down.
Yeah.
All those extra chiefs that were in there. It took me a little while to figure out what was going on in there. They had a bunch of people, but man, every one of them suckers, awesome.
How many people are in a B hut?
4 to 6, right?
About 6, I think, maximum.
So
Probably
it's just-
5 because we take one for a gear room, right?
Yeah,
I think is the way it
that's
worked
true.
out. Well, there wasn't very many of us. Like with us, there's not very many to begin with. And then when they cut us in half, there's 6 of us.
But are y'all all on the like same compound?
Yeah.
So it's just little mini houses.
Little mini chicken coops,
Yeah.
basically plywood chicken coops.
All you need.
It's what it looks like.
Your bed. The CBs. All right, this is the cool part about CBs. If you don't know what they are, they're the motto is they fight, they build. And if you have some good CBs, it is key, man. And we did. You just walk up to him and say, hey, man, I got my bed in here. I like a little frame around it, and like a shelf right here, maybe something from a garbage can. And then we'd leave out and they come back and they'd have all that stuff built. They have built it. Yeah, man. Your own little, the carpenters. They freaking get it done. It's just a little amenities like that when you're over there. It just help. And then the Team 10 guys, I remember walking into their platoon space and they had all the, they reconfigured it. So it looked like the coolest tree house you could ever imagine. There's guns everywhere. I mean, total man cave.
Okay, let's talk rent, because doesn't it feel like you're just throwing your money into a black hole every month? Well, guess what? You kind of are. However, with Built Rewards, you can actually earn something every time you pay your rent. Yep, you heard that right. Paying rent can actually be rewarding. With Built, you're racking up points every month that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, or even towards your next rent payment. Plus, paying through the Built Rewards app is so easy, it's an actual breeze. And the Built points are actually ranked as some of the best out there. It's so easy. And if you know me, you know I love to travel. And thanks to Built, I've been able to pile up tons of flight points and hotel points, which means I get to stay on the road longer, spending less. Honestly, it's been such a game changer because of how easy and seamless it is. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/TNQ. That's joinbilt.com/TNQ. Make sure to click on that URL so they know that we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/TNQ to start earning points with your rent payments today.
That's so cool.
It was. It had streamer lights. Remember that? It looked like you were walking into a rave, and then you turn around the corner, and there'd be the armory right there, and there'd be a huge TV with a video game. We had one game, and then there was the media room we could go in where that's where the computers were.
I think was there a pool table or was there?
Yeah, it's pool table.
The card deck. I remember guys
That was to
playing
the right.
cards.
Yeah, the pool table. God, I forgot about that too, man.
And then of course there was the sun tanning place on top of
On top of the building.
top of the building. That was, you would go up there to suntan, and I remember looking down at everybody else having to walk around in long sleeves outside the compound.
That's how
And
the
they'd, they could see us, and they're like walking in long sleeves, like getting mad.
Oh my gosh.
We do that. Team guys do that. There's like, where's the tanning salon? It's up on the deal.
Yeah,
For sure.
That was part of the routine. You do your workout, get your tan in. That's just
Oh my gosh.
well, part of it too, because working night shift, you needed that sun. So that was kind of the less vain.
Dude, we had that basketball court. Who was it, man? Somebody sprained their ankle playing basketball and got so much trouble. He's like, stupid bastards. You're out here to operate. You're out here playing basketball like a bunch of kids. I'll never forget that.
So, when you did your workouts out there, I know like Marcus talks about how him and Michael Murphy would do workouts that basically ended up becoming what is now the Murph workout. Did you do stuff like that too?
I remember, I think we were at Salerno, and Murphy had asked if wanted to do that, and that's probably one of the things I wish I would have done. But I hated wearing body armor. I very much hated wearing body armor, so I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I mostly did calisthenics, and then I did because of being at the terrain and the elevation, I did the 6 mile base loops a couple times a week. To try to, I'm mostly focused on the calisthenics just to try to stay lean. I was about 40 pounds lighter back then.
Well, I think that's so cool that people do the Murph now. They don't even know what Murph is. A lot of them, they're just doing it because it's become this trend, but it was actually something that Michael Murphy and some of the guys did at the what do you call that? The platoon space or whatever over there.
Yeah, the gym at the
Yeah.
compound.
Yeah. That's neat. So did you brought something with you today? Do you want to read a little bit out of that, or do you want to wait for later for that?
Yeah, I can read it.
You got some notes.
Got
So
some notes.
explain this, because we've talked about this on the show a little bit before. What do you call it? A field journal? What do you call those? The green books? Because they all have them.
This was kind of just
What
the
do
go-to whether you were ordnance.
I don't know what we call
flyer.
those. Do we even have a name for that? No one's ever asked us that.
Green book.
Green book?
I think just a
Like,
green
hey,
book.
where's your green book? That's why it looks like it's
think
got to be
so.
it. If it's not, it is now. I don't think we ever called it
Where's
anything.
your
It's just
green
kind of like,
book?
where the hell's your green book, dude?
Well, I've seen a couple of people with them. So
I still have all mine up in the library.
Yeah. Yeah, he has his. Okay, so you would carry around these books and you would just take notes of what you did that day.
Well, at the end of the day, a lot of times. So at the end of the day, it was kind of just a reflection. I would just keep it back in my room, and I'd started, and I kept a journal for a year in 8th grade, and then started again in 10th grade, and then I think I started back up in 2002 when I was at STV school, and then from there just kept writing every day, and it wasn't a dear diary today.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
The squirrel mocked me. Something like that, right?
And some of it is just very, very short, almost bullet-like points. If something really made me laugh or upset me or something, I might write something like that in. But it was mostly just very factual, kind of a end of the day, I guess, debrief of what I did, and then just kept it even in Afghanistan. I'm really glad I did.
Good job
Yeah.
holding on to that.
Yeah, it was in my storage.
Find a cruise box or something?
It was in a cruise box.
Yeah. That's where they all are. Buried underneath a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And this is you had asked when we had got to Afghanistan. I got Sunday, April 17th. I'll just read kind of
go ahead.
a couple lines from each. So Sunday, April 17th, we arrived in Germany after an 8-hour flight. We waited around a few hours and we did a 7-hour flight to Afghanistan. The reality of war hit when we had to come in on a steep and fast landing. After a brief, we unloaded our bags, got something to eat. We saw Brad Geary and hung out with him a bit. Brad is
Heard from him the other day.
phenomenal guy.
Everybody loves that guy.
Everybody loves him. And I really hope
We all do.
I really hope that he gets the justice that he deserves.
We all do.
Really, really good.
I've
guy.
never heard one operator say one bad thing about him.
No, really good guy. And I wrote, I'm not that nervous here like I thought I'd be. I did a lot of praying, and I feel confident that God will watch over me and grant me success. And then tried to tab a lot of the stuff that has some of the guys.
Dude, you're making me think. I remember those landings when we had to come in there. They didn't tell us that was going to go down. You know, we're laying on the back of the Humvee and got our hammocks everywhere. When they go in to do that, God,
It's just
they love doing that. Yeah, the pilots love doing that to us. Freaking love it, man.
Yeah.
Slinging seals and ass everywhere, dude. Freaking.
Yeah. It was definitely quite the landing. And so we got Friday, April 22nd. We loaded helos for a real world mission. We flew, I think this might have been the first one I went on. Do you remember when you got here?
Okay, so we were inbound when y'all had this, when this went down, and we heard about it over the wire, and we were telling our pilots, hurry up and get there. We don't want to miss another one. Go ahead, man. Yeah, I remember it. Hell yeah.
We flew to a small ramshackle base, then to the target. I don't even remember where that base was. I was part of the ARF. I don't remember what ARF stands for. It's basically if folks run out the back door or wherever.
A squirter control.
Yeah, squirter control to fly in the helo.
I don't remember what we called it, though, but you're right.
We rode around looking for squirters. I tore the crotch of my pants earlier, then ended up guarding some Afghanis with my stuff showing.
Oh my
balls
gosh.
and praying hanging. All those pants that we got issued ripped in the crotch, like it was on purpose. Just straight down. No team gear wears underwear. So that, dude, the snipers were hilarious about that because they lay down with just junk flinging, man.
Are you serious?
God, I forgot about all that. Yeah. That's the funny part about war, man.
Because we were there waiting to go, and I remember being loaded up like the Michelin Man with all the body armor and hitting everything, and I dropped something, and I bent down to pick it up, and it was just like, we were leaving in 5 minutes. I'm like, well, I can't change my pants, so I go in there. He said we were just commando, and
Dude,
that was
that turned into a thing.
yeah.
That's the other stuff we don't ever talk about. Like,
That's
you can't believe what happened to
hilarious.
our gear. Guys, just the whole, however they designed those, man, it would rip. Everybody had the same one.
So are the Afghanis like pointing at you and laughing?
That
Well,
didn't really freaking do much.
I'm surprised this didn't cause some sort of international incident, but it was just to kind of, you had your bad guys, and then you had just your regular villagers that you just had to keep them back, because I was brand new, just STV guy. They had me hold. There was this really old woman, and she's there standing, and she's there like talking, and then I seen her like look down, and then she looks at me again and quit talking. I don't know if she had flashbacks of the Russians or what, but she just quit. She quit talking then, and I just went like.
I mean, think about that though. So they probably never seen anything like us. And then dude walks up with junk hanging, with armed up, right, and just kicking the shit out of all the men. And then the funniest parts in the beginning is when we were on the helo ride back. So there'd be guys sitting in the chair with their junk hanging out, and we have to put the detainees in front of us. So you're just kind of sitting there with. You understand where I'm going with that, dude? I mean. You can't make these situations up, man. We just get stuck in them. We don't have any idea.
Your nuts are just hanging out.
Yeah.
When I say rip, dude, I mean like you could put them on that way.
All the way down almost halfway to my knee.
That is
It was ripped.
hilarious.
They were these khaki pants. The ones that were tri-collared were decent, but for some reason, the ones that were all khaki,
and that's the ones we wanted.
so generic. But
Those are the ones we wanted to wear.
Yeah.
I'm
They all
wondering
khaki.
if she's thinking like, I could sew those for you if you'd like. Just give me.
She's probably take me to America. God bless America.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
Nah. We had a cookout when we got back. I guess this is
After every mission.
When Yun's got in and said, I talked to Murphy.
Mhm.
So when
Remember y'all were cooking steak, and they were like, every time we go out and do a mission, we come back, we got to eat good. They would cook in there.
Marcus still has that rule. Every day he comes in from a day of mowing, he wants a steak, and
So if you worked your ass off, somebody came home bleeding, we got a good meal.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beneficial to the soul.
We ate good. We
Yeah.
definitely ate good. I mean, that is one thing that, man, we ate good over there.
yeah.
You can treat your boys a lot differently if you feed them well.
Yes.
Like them suckers will suffer and won't even complain about it if they know at the end of the day there's something like that waiting on them.
Yeah.
Friday steak and lobster.
Steak and lobster, the CIA agency guy,
Lobster?
man, they
Steak
would
and lobster every Friday.
every Friday on Fridays. The agency guys,
What the heck?
man, they would come up with some stuff. We'd immediately find them as soon as you land on the base. Go, where are the agency guys? And you go over there, and that's where you start to learn how to barter. Like,
Oh my gosh.
because we're not allowed to keep war trophies, right? So we try to figure out any other thing we can get and how we can get it, man. And it's Fridays. That's steak and crab too, man. They would do those crab legs.
What?
And every morning then made to order omelet.
That was the best.
Breakfast.
Was that K&B? Came out there and had those tents. The
KBR.
breakfast, they had the grills. There was a guy standing there with the hat on, and he'd be like, "What kind of omelet you want, man?" And they would throw those things. Yeah, the food.
This is why Marcus is so. He always wants a big and good meal, like a home cooked big meal. And it's because his mama gave him that his whole life. And then he goes off to the SEAL teams and they did it in freaking Afghanistan.
Made like kings there too.
Yeah.
My mom always said, "You feed them like kings, they'll grow to be kings."
Yeah.
But my chief would be like, "Hey man, if you just feed them, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit about anything else. They're here to take pain. They're designed for chaos. Just feed them suckers, because you don't want somebody like that grumpy, upset.
Mhm.
There's a difference.
Hangry.
Yeah, that's a real phenomenon. If you got somebody who's dangerous and you make them hungry, then they get pissed. That's a different kind of violence altogether. When you're killing, when you got hunger on board.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely no complaints about the food for sure.
Oh my
I mean, it
gosh.
was-
Okay, so
God,
you're
you bring
getting
back some memories on it.
after
Yeah, go
an
ahead. I'm sorry,
op
man.
And y'all are making steaks.
Yeah. And then the next day, I just had some different stuff wrote here, and I talked to Danny about life and stuff. So we used to have some good conversations. So I'm just I said, I tabbed some of the stuff that has some of the guys here. And then here's where this kind of cracked me up. Just as a 23-year-old SEAL. So this is when I got in trouble for mismatching my uniforms. I think I had one tricolor blouse and the all khaki pants, and I got in trouble, and I wrote, I'm not going to say their names. So-and-so were being dumb and very fleet-like about mixing uniforms. They act dumb like that about a lot of stuff. I'm tired of all this so-called professionalism crap. I can't wait to get out. Be my own man instead of a peasant in the military feudal system. And one of the things, not to digress, but like with the whole, I know we've talked about like the tracking and survival. It really teaches you this independence. Like, yeah, I don't need that. Like I can go out and I can get my own food. I can get my own water. And you just get this sense of independence. And then also too, watching the documentaries and hearing how the guys early on in the war, how just the beards and the shamogs and everything. And then it's like, hey, you guys can't be mismatching uniforms. It's just like, who are you to tell, who are you to tell me what to do?
I remember
what
getting,
wearing.
Who cares?
Guys getting pissed about that.
Yeah.
Remember James couldn't grow a full beard?
Yeah.
And they would make him shave. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
He can only grow a Fu Manchu. He's got Asian descent in him, so he couldn't grow a full beard. And he walked up to me. He's like, because I was the one that had to make him tell him to shave. I was like, James, you got to shave, man. He's like, this is just not fair. This is just not fair, man. And he wrote a letter to me to pass up to the chain about it not being fair because of his heritage, or not heritage, but his genetic makeup. And I was like, my people wore. I mean, he did it good too, man. I mean, like put some detail in it. I mean, I wanted to sell it for him. I was like, I think you have a right just to wear that Fu Manchu, right? This kind of deal. And they wouldn't let him, man. Sometimes they were sticklers about it, and sometimes they wouldn't be.
I'll tell you what, he had some funny moments about him where he would keep that dry
freaking humor. I mean,
do you remember?
If you never run across somebody who has that, I'm talking about you can't tell what they're thinking. Yeah. I mean, they're making a joke or they're serious. Same. He was just like that.
It's very Asian.
Very Asian.
Yeah,
they're great at that, man. I'm like, I can't read you, man.
We have some very good Asian friends, and their humor is so.
Especially if they want it to be, man.
Borderline, like, okay, is that a joke?
Yeah.
Are you trying to be funny?
I never saw him belly laugh like we do.
Yeah.
Like where you fall over and that, like he just kind of. Hey.
Because there was a couple times he had me in tears laughing. Because do you remember when those people came trying to sell us the javelin? Remember? It's
yeah.
$500,000 thing with $250,000 missiles, and we had to sit through this boring brief. And then I looked over at James. He was like, he nodded to me, handed me this piece of paper, and it had javelin. And he wrote a word for each of the letters of the acronym. It said I forget what all it was. Just a very expensive. He wrote something out basically calling it an expensive piece of crap for each letter of the javelin. Just cracked me up. And then
oh my gosh,
we had made some stay behinds. Do you remember this? A stay behind is where you get time fuse and you'd have explosives. That way, if you have to run, you just pop them.
Yep.
And like behind, we had to get rid of the blasting caps. And there's a procedure that you're supposed to do that is a complete pain in the butt. When all the STV guys were here prepping. Do you remember this? Because then James took some blasting caps and he went out back in the compound, and he didn't know they'd be this loud. He put them down in the dirt. Were you there for that?
I wasn't there for that.
He put them down in the dirt and set them off, and we're just in the compound, and there's this like bam, and he comes like
we're in the middle of the compound. We're not our place is in the middle.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, like we definitely weren't supposed to do that.
Did he get in trouble?
No one caught him.
Oh my gosh!
Dude, I remember when we were loading out to go on deployment. He had everything. I was like, you don't need all that. What do you keep? And I kind of got onto him about it. And then throughout deployment, I'd be looking for something I didn't have it, and I'd have to go down to his room and knock on the door, and he knew immediately what it was for. And he'd answer that door with that look on his face, like, you need something from me, don't you? And I'd be like, yeah. He's like, let me see if I got it. And he'd shut the door.
Yeah.
He played me out the whole way. He had that great sense of humor, for sure.
He's the reason we have a lot of the pictures that we do. If it wasn't for him.
Oh, man. He had that camera. He had a real one, like a real camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again, a little Asian. He can go to work with that stuff, man. Freaking get it on, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, he was really good about taking the pictures because we wouldn't even have half the pictures of everything.
The Father's Day picture, that'd be the only one we got. It was Father's Day, I think, right? And we got to do that.
Day. Yep.
I got to talk to his sister a few years ago. I think it was for the 15th anniversary. I interviewed, or not interviewed, but just had did a Zoom. It was 2020. And did a Zoom with just some of the family members to have them talk about the guys. And that was my first time ever talking to one of his family members, and hearing the stories of his childhood from his sister's perspective was really, really touching.
What else you got in there?
Sunday, May 1st. This is when you guys were in a hide site a few miles away. We were near one of the BCP's border control point or border checkpoint. And is
that when we got contacted?
I think when you
I was up there.
Yeah.
I was on the Packy border.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good one too, man.
Because we saw
that was my first gunfight.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we were so far away we couldn't.
No, yeah. There was two other teams out there, right?
Yeah.
And then we got into that fight, and then remember they pulled us out of there, and then the rest of the team, 10 platoon, came in on the helicopter and they dropped them off, and a storm came in and rained on them suckers for like 3 days.
We were still out there.
You were still out there.
They kept us out.
They pulled me out.
Yeah. It
was me and Healy and Shane.
Yeah.
Dude, they sent an RPG into Healy's hide.
Really?
I'll never forget seeing that big bastard move the way he did. Remember how big he was? Yeah. And he was off the side of the mountain, and there was a little tree grove kind of deal, and he was down in that. And I had flanked around the right side and was firing at these guys, and I could see him stand up with that RPG and roll around and fire that thing into his hide. And I remember turning around, I was kind of scared because it hit dead center. But something out of a movie, dude, as it blew up, he came out of there high stepping, bro. I was big bastard. I mean, hands up, like, what's up? Didn't have his helmet on or anything, man. And it blew his ass over into a flip behind this rock. And he came up. I'll never forget that black hair, dude. He looking over that freaking rock, dude. And he was like, God, get him. He was yelling at Shane, was on the other side of the mountain with the radio trying to call in.
Yeah.
And he was so calm. He was like, yeah. He had that freaking California surf talk. Yeah. He's like, we're in something right now. And they're like, say again. He's like, we're in a tick here. We got a fight going on. Hold on. Chip, yeah. That kind of thing, man. They didn't think it was real. Shit, yeah, it was real.
So Healy was the one running out?
Yeah, high step. I wouldn't call it a run, dude.
Shane was running out.
No, Shane was on the other side.
Okay.
He was down behind it calling in for them to come help us. Yeah, that happened.
Oh my God.
That was a good one, man. That was a real good one. I'll never forget how Healy came out from outside that mountain. Like it was a sprint.
Yeah.
Off the side. There's only a human body can move if it wants to, man.
I never saw him run.
Me neither. Like she just didn't do that.
Yeah.
That sucker got it on, man.
All right, let's talk about those everyday expenses that we all have. Things like groceries, gas, pharmacy runs. It all adds up, right? Well, here's the good news. Navy Federal Credit Union's new Cash Rewards Plus card can actually earn you unlimited 2% cash back on all of those purchases. And the best part, you don't even have to worry about tracking different spending categories or waiting for something to change. Every single purchase, every time, earns you 2% cash back. So let's say you spend $2,000. All right, well, that's $200 cash back plus a Walmart Plus annual membership card on top of that. And there is no limit to how much you can earn. Yep, it's really just that simple. Sounds too good to be true, right? But there's no catch. All you got to do is head on over to NavyFederal.org to learn more. Navy Federal is insured by the NCUA.
Because over where we were at, it was more peaceful. This was more the poetic side while you guys are getting shot at, and
you're writing poetry.
I'm writing poetry.
I appreciate that, man. Read me some, because hopefully it'll. God dang.
Sunday, May 1st.
This is typical team guy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, while you're getting shot up, man, I wrote a sonnet. I'd like to hear it.
So I saw the sunrise again. I think of the quote that JD said. JD Donaldson. Remember,
Love that guy.
you went to you and Danny were at JTAC together.
Yeah.
with him, right? Yeah.
Bro, we almost didn't make it out of there.
And JD.
We had too much fun
Yeah.
with that crew that we had in there.
Yeah, JD's another really good one that definitely he was in Iraq during this time, but
That's right. He was on the split. He went,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
just phenomenal guy that just like with Brad Geary that kind
I'm a
of
big fan of his.
big Navy went after some of the best, unfortunately. And JD's a good one for sure.
I remember him.
Yep. And but I think of the quote that JD said is from the book Last of the Mohicans, which says, "Every man who watches the sunrise and set on the same day is a lucky man." And that was just kind of stuff
Yeah.
I thought. I love being on watch during the sunrise and sunsets.
There's something out there.
Looking at that, and I remember legit thinking if a bullet would take me down, I would die a happy man.
I had a couple times like that too.
So beautiful right there.
Absolutely. I was like, I could die right here.
Yeah.
That happened to me a couple times over there. And I remember watching the sunsets and the sunrises because where they would put us in, you couldn't hike up. They had to put us in by helicopter. And I remember watching that go down. And at night, man, you want to talk about seeing some stars and some galaxy in Afghanistan, you can see it, especially out there.
It's crazy because a lot of people think Afghanistan's like desert looking,
Mm-mm.
which I'm sure there's some parts maybe in the south or something, but where y'all were, it's like Montana on steroids,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just
There's some
Yeah.
waterfalls that
mountain,
you
Yeah.
can through these
waterfalls.
forests and I mean through these
Yeah.
groves that you can walk through. And they're so high up in the mountain that the clouds are up there with you.
Yeah.
And it's just, remember that? Man,
And some of the biggest trees where you were at the 28th.
yeah.
There was a tree. I've never even seen redwoods this big around. It wasn't that tall because they would do what's called that. I didn't know what it was at first. I think it's called pollarding or something.
Yeah,
where
I
they
didn't
cut.
know that. I didn't know about that
They
either.
cut the branches, and so it's an ancient tree. That's. I mean, I've seen the redwoods, and it was bigger around than one of those.
I try to explain to people
Dang.
what the terrain was like when we were in, but I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, I never seen anything like this, man. I'd never been over in that area. You know, and when the freaking logging area, we talk about fighting in that thing, man. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I got Tuesday, May 17th. Like I said, I'm just trying to read where with some of the guys here. Just I talked to Axelson about tracking. I remember he had said there was a tracking course.
Mhm.
They had
Yeah, what was that dude's name? We were going to.
was it Pete? Was it a guy named Pete? I thought it was somebody that
Remember
starts
The
with Pete.
Hunted with Benicio del Toro?
Yeah.
It was based off of that guy's. He's got
Tom Brown?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was one of the courses that guys were getting sent to, and then there was another one that Mojo and Garrett went to. Actually, a bunch of our guys went to it. It was a few weeks long, and they said it was pretty intense. I mean, like real intense. That's why I was so into it when I came around the corner that time, and you taught me that class on how to track. I was kind of into it already, and everyone had said you were doing that you're our tracker, which is good because I don't know how you tracked anything in Afghanistan, man. All that friggin'
I had gone on the Tom Brown course
yeah.
before that and then had read
I still carry his blade.
books. Oh yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Ain't much left of it. It's not sharpened down to the nub, man. But I hunted with that thing for years.
he died last month.
Oh,
Is that true?
really?
Yeah. He left
Well, hey,
left
I
a
didn't know that,
big-
man. There's
yeah.
a shout out to you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he left a big hole in the track and survival community for sure.
Well, it's time for somebody else then.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
That's how you pass the torch in that community.
Yeah.
Someone has to die. Because you only get better with that.
I have May the 18th. Me and Shane did pull-ups. We all packed our stuff up and drove in a convoy to BCP 6. This was the second time because I remember you got sick the second day.
You remember that?
I remember that. We
I wanted one of y'all to shoot me. I had never, to this day, I've never been that sick,
Yeah.
dude. James wouldn't come anywhere near me. As a matter of fact, I remember you guys almost telling me to move out of the tent. Hey,
Like
y'all,
growing
let me
up
tell
or
you
what?
something. The devil jumped on me out there, bro. Because there's a picture of us actually. So where I'm standing in the back, and I mean, I look. I try to forget that.
Everyone's in camis.
Everyone's dressed
you're
up.
in a t-shirt, and you're like,
dude. I mean, I didn't have any clothes left. I didn't have any fluid left. It was the most miserable time of my life.
Yeah.
You got the flu or what?
We don't know what it was. Like I said, I think it might have been the damn devil, dude, because it freaking jumped on me. Everybody's like, what is wrong with you?
Oh
You could hear me.
gosh.
Yeah.
And that, I just, oh, God. I was standing there fine 1 second. And we were in the middle of nowhere doing those, we were doing patrol ops, and we were way out there by the border, man. Yeah, I got so sick.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I remember riding back, I was hoping that we would get into a gunfight because I was sitting up in the Humvee and I kept losing control of everything. I was like, please, God, can I just get out of the damn... I couldn't move. I was so big. I had to wedge into the Humvee with all my gear and everything on, man. And every time they'd hit a bump, it'd just be like, I'd just go everywhere. And I'd be like, help me, God. Help me. And they would just loved it. They'd be like driving off road and be like, oh, it's all right, Marcus. We're almost there. 8-hour car ride, I think. It was something crazy,
It was
man.
long,
Through the mountains. Dude.
And there's Toyota Hiluxes that are just fancy to begin with.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember that and wrote it down, bro, because I tried to forget it, man.
Yeah, because I remember it was fun. I mean, I guess
It was.
Dude,
it was a blast. It was a freaking great time. I mean, if I'd have been healthy, it'd have been great. Because I was stoked to be out there. We were doing was cool, man. And then whatever that was, man.
Because we played dodgeball. We played dodgeball with the Afghanis.
With the Afghanis.
What?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
We were way out in the middle of nowhere, man. There was a blown out, left of a fort, I guess, or a house or something from who knows before the flood, I guess, man. You know what I mean? Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, this thing's been here a while. And we were in that.
Oh my gosh.
We were in that.
How did they know how to play dodgeball, or you're just
I think they had
pegging them with the ball?
We were just throwing balls at the
Yeah.
We were just throwing like these foam balls back this big, just throwing them. And then I don't even remember this because I did all that running and everything. I was 40 pounds lighter than what I am now. They called me Slim. I remember they'd be like, Slim. And I'm throwing, I was like, who's this stinking kettle calling the pot black?
God, I can't even imagine what they were calling me, dude.
Calling me Slim and stuff. And then that was a good one because then we wrote here that us SDB guys just sat outside and talked. Do you remember sitting around that fire?
Sure.
And we just talked. No pole lights, no light pollution at all. Just looking up at the sky, and we
Nothing.
sat around and we talked.
It was pure blackness except for that fire.
And that was good. That was a good, good.
I mean, think about that now. So where you and I have been together. Like, we live in small towns now. It's like, hey, man, you remember that time we was out in Afghanistan? And I mean out on the other side of the earth around that campfire? That doesn't even sound real.
Yeah.
People trying to kill, and I got sick. Remember that? I mean, real sick, dude. I might have got so sick, that's why I don't ever get sick again.
You can drink the water in Mexico.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Because that sucker got some voodoo on me.
Marcus always says that that's the best therapy for guys is just a campfire.
Yeah.
Just guys around a campfire.
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
God, that's a good story. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I was dying, it was still cool.
That was the stuff that kind of where I'm, getting to with all this is just the bond.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of trying to show this bond that even though I knew your brother because he was in the class after me, but that was the first I had met you until, well, I think we saw you guys in California. And then, but other than that, that was really like being around a lot of the Team 10 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it and you think, okay, well, how were we that close to one another when we were only there a couple months and then everything happened? And then just kind of seeing all this stuff that we did where we just had each other. We're just sitting around the fire talking and just, you really develop this bond with guys. And like you were saying earlier about some guys could be very rural, some guys big city. And
all across the board. And the fact is when we're walking around, everyone's trying to kill us. And then when you see somebody take up arms to protect you and, do something like that, it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, just throw your life, like that joker's willing to throw his life down. And I guess for whatever reason, the way we look on the outside, people just they just overlook that. Mm-hmm. But when someone shows you that they'll do that, it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I had come up with, like with Taylor and all those guys like that, we were in buds together. So the cool part about the SEAL teams is in the age gap, it really doesn't matter because they're combined by usually like through buds or through another training program, which is equally as tough. And if I know somebody, but I don't know him, but he knows that guy and he vouches for it, it's good.
Mhm.
It's just like, if you see me showing him love, it'll automatically happen. Because team guys, we don't do that, man. We'll beat on our chest who's got in the beginning, but the minute that goes away, it's freaking awesome.
Because I remember when you guys had showed up, your Pro Tech, you had it painted like the Texas flag. And that was the thing that stuck out to me. It's like, huh, he's got it all painted.
Bro, let me tell you something. I jumped in that truck. I had Texas flag painted all over my body, dude. And I had patches on my backpack. I knew y'all said something, dude. I could feel that in the wind. I was like, God, is this guy from Texas? I'm like, because all my gear, that's how I labeled it, was just a Texas flag on it. So I came walking out of there covered in it. Yeah.
When Marcus and I go out of the country and we have to fill out the little entry forms to wherever, and it says, what's your nationality? He always puts Texan.
That's
always.
awesome.
Like that is, he is
It's a real thing for us, man.
Through and through. Texan.
I'm a real one.
Pro Tech is the helmet.
Yeah, my helmet.
So funny story. After we were married,
Well after.
Marcus gets called in to the
tell you the
team.
story?
I
I got it back.
Yeah.
You what?
I got my helmet back.
Really?
Yeah, they found
Yeah.
it
Where?
in a cache in a cave.
Some Rangers found
Some Rangers found it.
Mhm.
Huh.
Bro,
I
they
didn't
called
know
me.
that.
Warcom called me. The admiral's like, you need to come see me. I was like, Roger that. I get on a plane and fly to San Diego. Opens up his desk. And he goes, you've been missing this?
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, that thing was probably one of the first things to go when I came down the mountain.
Yeah.
Was my helmet. And I was like, please tell me you shot that off somebody's head, right? Something cool.
Yeah.
And he was like, I wish it was that cool. We found it in the cache with some of our radios. You know how they do.
Yeah.
They geostash equipment and gear, and it was in there. I think maybe one of Danny's, something from Danny too.
His
but
ID or something.
yeah, something with it.
Something of his. But yeah, isn't that cool? He ended
Yeah.
up getting it back. We have it in the
The thing
house.
followed me from around the world, from a hole inside in a cave on the other side of the earth, made it back to me.
That is awesome.
How about that? That was a
Yeah.
crazy time for me and you, man. There was a lot of stuff went down.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at time. Look at June 27th,
Okay.
if you don't mind, because I think a lot of the people that are listening.
God dang, we've been in there that long?
Well, a lot
I
of
told you, man, it flies by, bro.
Yeah, a lot of the people that are listening have seen the movie Lone Survivor, and there's something that you wrote on June 27th that is actually in the movie, and people always think like, oh, none of that stuff really happened. And yeah, there had to be, I mean, that was like a whole week condensed into 2 hours. So there was some manipulation of like how to make the time fit in the movie, but a lot of the things, that kind of stuff actually did happen. And seeing Ben's journal entry earlier, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Monday, June 27th, I skipped breakfast to work out, run a loop. It was extremely hot. We had a long PLO and then did walkthroughs. I prepped gear, and then I watched Napoleon Dynamite and read this journal.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm talking
yeah.
about. Yeah. So in the movie, they talk about Napoleon Dynamite, about watching Napoleon Dynamite with the guys in the bee hut, and they make Shane, which I don't know if this really happened or not, but it just makes for a good camaraderie.
It does. That stuff does happen. We
Yeah,
make them
like
learn.
they made Shane do the Napoleon Dynamite dance. And he seems, just from, I've never met him, but from what I hear from anybody that has met him, he had such a lighthearted character, like who he was, that personality. He would have got up there and done that dance.
Oh, easy day. Yeah, sure.
He
His
was.
dad's a team guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in his blood, man.
You want to go ahead and read
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
from
Yeah. Yeah.
from June
please.
28th onward? Or?
Yeah.
All right. How much?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tuesday, June 28th. I did not have my journal on me, so some of my facts are a little bit off. I had it back in Bagram, and it was a couple days until I got back. And then just wrote down a lot of stuff from memory. I didn't work out because we were supposed to have an op. We ended up hurrying up to get to the airfield because the guys on the SR got in a firefight and we were the QRF. The helos weren't ready, so it was a few hours after they called that we got there. My group and another was dropped off at J-Bad since the helos would be too heavy and we were to be inserted second. One of the helos got shot down. The other helos were called back to the airfield we were at. We were all ready to get our boys, but they wouldn't let us. We had to wait around in a galley and then went to sleep in a tent while the cowards in charge couldn't make a decision and our boys were dying and being pursued. Rangers were finally sent in by vehicles, but had to patrol in from 12 kilometers away and were of no use and didn't make it to the site. Wednesday, June 29th. We had to wait around all day and listen helplessly to the reports of the bad guys moving in to the crash site and also possibly had already killed the SR guys. The higher-ups still couldn't make a decision, and our boys were still out there alone. What air support they did have wouldn't shoot because they didn't have comms with them and didn't want to hit our guys. And then there's 3 STV guys then that were with Blackwater at the time. The 3 came, they drove to J-Bad to see if they could help because they knew Danny and a bunch of the other guys. I hung out with them about all day. And then I saw one of the Buds instructors who was with one of the other teams that was there. I'm not going to say these names. The team and some of our boys finally inserted halfway into the night. So this is a full 36 hours later, at least. Rangers still hadn't made it to the site. They had tried, definitely nothing against that. They did what they could. Then I wrote, I can't describe the frustration and anguish of knowing your brothers are out there and that there's nothing being done about it until possibly it's too late. Around 15 of us stayed back as a QRF. Thursday, June 30th. Us and the QRF flew back to Bagram because the air crews supposedly needed to go back. I wrote my folks an email to let them know I was okay. Z, he was our officer at the STV platoon. Z called them too. And I also wrote one of my friends, since he is the only one who wrote to see if I was okay. We prepped demo and stuff all day. The crash is on the news. We got the report that everyone on the helo was found dead. Shane Patton, a good friend of mine, was one of them. There were 16 people on board. 8 were SEALs, my brothers. We spent the rest of the day hearing reports of them getting signals from the SR guys, but the command CO guy, I won't say the names here, or whoever the heck it was, still couldn't make a decision to save them.
Have you ever heard of Kalshi? It's the first legal exchange in the US where you can actually trade on real world events. I'm talking things like elections, economic trends, and even tech innovations. You can literally put your money where your mouth is. Here's how it works. You can buy a contract for something like 25 cents, and if you're right, you'll get $1 back. That's 4 times your money. You can trade on anything from who will win the next presidential election to major climate events. I know I've been using it and it's a total game changer. Definitely looking forward towards November to seeing who will win. So if you're ready to own the outcome and make your predictions count, head on over to kalshi.com/TNQ. That's KALSHI.com/TNQ. And here's the real kicker. The first 500 people to sign up and deposit $100 gets a $20 bonus. So don't miss out. Get trading now at kalshi.com/TNQ.
Feel. I called Mom and talked to some of the fellas outside. Friday, July 1st. We got woke up to go to Camp Vance for a funeral rehearsal. They still haven't got our boys yet. I worked out and did a short run. We went to the airfield and dressed camis for more rehearsals. Then we loaded the coffins onto a plane. I was a pallbearer for James Suh. We said goodbye to 8 brother warriors. Commander Christensen, Mike McGreevy, Dan Healy, Jacques Fontaine, Jeff J.T. Taylor, Jeff Lucas, James Suh, and Shane Patton. We got word Marcus Luttrell wrote a letter to be given to friendly forces, and it said he was rescued by Afghanis. He was shot in the butt.
That's a Lee Marvin wound.
Yeah. We still don't know about the other guys and still haven't gone in to get them. They're still waiting because they, in quotations, don't know if it's him or not, or a trap. On that note, we saw the paper that you wrote, and everybody just said, look at the chicken scratch.
Yeah.
And look at how it is. The Texan thinking, this guy's a Texan. Look how it's wrote. This is
okay. I don't have my handwriting as a business. I wanted to be a doctor, for God's sakes. Okay, just didn't work out for me.
Nah,
that's not a shot at my teachers who taught me how to do my
Your penmanship.
That's funny. I thought about that. I was like, I sent a note like, no one could read the damn thing. Why didn't you get rescued? I was like, I couldn't read your damn note. There's a reason why you need to work on your writing and your penmanship when you're in school. All right, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe all this is happening. We need warriors for leaders, not cowards. And then two of the SDV guys ended up staying in our hut. Saturday, July 2nd, we did clean up. We were informed that Michael Murphy, Matt Axelson, and Danny Dietz were dead, but the good guys got to Marcus. Me and John cleaned the gym. I worked out just this and that. Me and Laz went in James's room to look for pictures. Me and Luke listened to the songs we sang about Lone Star. Those songs about the 100-foot ravine. And that,
dude, I still think about that all the time.
I have the recording.
Do you?
Went to recording the original one. You can hear JT talking in it, and a bunch of the.
That's got to be good, dude. That's probably the hardest thing we ever did, right? Is that up?
I'll tell you that.
Wrote a song about it.
We wrote two songs.
Two songs about it.
Like it was.
You ask it. Hey, look, there were Navy SEAL. I think he was a senior chief. He was like, I quit. He quit on the mountain, but then he goes, shit, no one is going to come get me, man. Never mind, I don't quit. That's how bad the terrain was.
That was before the 28.
Yeah. The best way I can explain it is the sun went down. They put us on the mountain. The point men let out. The sun came up. Rear security was still in the same spot.
Yeah. Well, it was only supposed to be about 300 foot of elevation and then just kind of rolling terrain. And it wasn't. It was so steep in there. When we came in, there were sparks coming from the rotors hitting the rock. And they said, everybody, turn immediately left when you get off the ramp. Otherwise, you're going to get your heads cut off from the rotor. We had to instantly get off. And it was just wearing body armor and the stuff that you had on. And it took all night. And I don't even remember how long we went. One of the guys, he was one of the support guys. He went down. He was a really good guy, but he just.
Oh, I remember him.
He's not used to this.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Murphy was in front of him.
Yeah.
And Murphy turned around to me because I had only gone to EMT basic, but I was somehow lumped in with you guys that had gone to 18 Delta and all this other advanced stuff. And I knew how to take blood pressure and, do stuff like that. Murphy turned around. He's like, Ben, you're an EMT. Take care of him. And so I had to take his body armor and then his rifle and then hold him and help the guy move along. Again, great guy. And he kept apologizing. I said, don't worry about it.
He had a heavy pack, though. I remember
he had a really heavy pack.
He had loaded out real bad. Yeah.
I'd throw that stuff on, not only carry what I had, but carry that. And
he wasn't a SEAL.
No, he wasn't. We had different support that would come in with us. Really,
everybody was out there, man.
We had 40 people. We had Green Berets, Afghan nationals, and
Air Force was everybody.
We had Air Force and trying to walk up that last ridge. It was one of them ones kind of like the sand dunes and buds where you take 2 steps and you're sliding down, and you'd start walking up and sliding. We finally got up. Some of the guys had separated. I don't remember if you would have been in the main part with me, because you remember how this is the funniest thing I'm not going to say is funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is part of why we wrote that song too. Everybody's laying there dying, and the other groups had split off to try to find an easier path. We said, hey, we're going to mark our position with an IR strobe. Whoever designed that strobe was not an operator at all, because you turn it one way and it's infrared. And if you turn it the wrong way, like there's no lock. I think the new ones have it to where
overtly green.
Right. And this guy's looking through his night vision. Back then it was still green, so he didn't know the difference. He's standing on this mountaintop. It's like, I'm going to mark my position with an IR strobe, and he turns it, and this just blaring green strobe, and
Like a shooting star coming through the canyon.
and remember Mr. McGreevy's like, turn this
strobe off.
he's like, what? He's just standing there, his hands on his hips. Just McGreevy's like, turn it off.
Oh my god.
Dude, the funniest. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
That is hilarious.
Dude, I just remember, I think it was Berkey and Axelson was in front of him, and they were trying to, and there was a tree. He was holding on to the tree so he wouldn't fall down the mountain. And then up a rock came tumbling down the deal. And the dude goes to jump out of the way. And when he gets back up, he goes to look for the guy that was underneath him. And some bitch is gone. And so was that tree.
Oh my god.
So he thought he took him out down the mountain, and he starts freaking out looking for him. Come to find out, dude just jumped over on the side, trying to get out of the way. Oh, dude, I remember singing that song when you were playing the banjo, right? Yeah, they playing the banjo. I still sing it out loud sometimes. I fell into 100.
I'll look on my hard drive and I'll email it. Then,
okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's got. So you can hear JT saying her voice recorder. Hearing the guys just that genuine laughter.
Voice recorder.
We got the 4 hairband rednecks here that have decided to put their words on lyrics. You want to explain which one you
Okay.
first?
All right. All right. Band name is the Mumble Jumble Band. We got a special guest with us today, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's with us today, and the first song we're going to sing here, get y'all fired up, start out with the concert just right. It's called The Oppeteers. Ready, go. Obi-Wan Kenobi. We got something called the Ballad of Lone Star. We're going to start it here pretty soon.
Submarine underway.
Elevation is a burning thing, and it makes your poor love spring. Down the mountainside, and go balloon nearly died. I fell into 100-foot ravine. I went down, 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 and I busted up my spleen. And it hurts, hurts, hurts. That damn ravine. That damn ravine. I fell into 100-foot ravine. I went down, 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 and I busted up my spleen. And it hurts, hurts, hurts. That damn ravine. That damn ravine. The taste of blood is sweet. And there is no sweet treat. I'm out like a sack of bricks. Oh, but we had 3 clicks. I fell into 100-foot ravine. I went down, 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 and I busted up my spleen. And it hurts, hurts, hurts. That damn ravine. That damn ravine. That damn ravine. That damn ravine.
It's got, so you can hear JT saying their voice recorder and just hearing the guys laugh.
Yeah.
Just that genuine laughter. And man,
And I had us all packed in that room, dude.
yeah,
It was a good time.
such a good time. Man, it's such a good time.
Love that.
Then Saturday, July 2nd, we got jocked up for QRF, but delayed. And then me, Mac, and John sat by the flag and looked at pictures and told stories to help deal with the loss of Danny and the others. Marcus was flown to the hospital here at Bagram. Sunday, July 3rd, 2 STB guys came. We told them what happened to the SR guys. It's being said, and I'm not going to kind of describe the physical stuff, but when Marcus went to work on him, an RPG or something blew him down a ravine. He ended up killing 15 to 20 bad guys. And Afghani took him in and protected him when the bad guys came looking for him. They still haven't recovered all the bodies. We had a memorial for the pilots at OCF. And then,
Wasn't that crazy? Like we were having the ramp ceremony, putting guys on the bird to get flown back to buried, but there were still guys missing.
yeah,
So there was all those ops going on at the same time. Everybody that was in country had to do something.
and one of the things with just kind of reading the book and seeing the movie and such that I was hoping to kind of get across with this is it just seems like stuff just happened right after, but you can see how the days drug on and not knowing that and feeling powerless. And just, it's not like in the movies. It's not like
That's what a movie doesn't describe. Yeah. Can't put that in a movie.
Well, because in the movie, you really just think it's one night, but
Oh.
really that was a course of a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got guys like Ben that were sitting back at the base wanting to do something, and they don't have the permission to do so, or the equipment, you know, they can't just go without helicopters. This was in the middle of treacherous mountains. I mean, it wasn't just like on a hill that they could have hiked up. This was very, very rough terrain. And there were storms going on. It was like the perfect storm.
Freaking storms, man.
It was the perfect storm of just like shit happening that, you know, when people read the book or they watch the movie, they're like, well, you could have done this or you could have done that. And what if, and what if, and there's so many, what do they call them? Like
armchair
quarterbacks that want to control this situation and think that they would have done something differently. But you weren't there. Like you have no idea what it was like when you were there, and what happened. There's no changing that. Do we wish that the guys like Ben would have gotten out there immediately? Yeah. Like there's so many things that we wish could have happened, but looking back, there's nothing we can change.
Well, like you said, it's scenario based too. So it wasn't one of them deals where they could have got pissed and just walked in there, rolled in there, drove in there. You couldn't get there like that.
Yeah.
And we were far away.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Our bases we were really located a pretty good distance from where we were inserted. So that was another problem.
One of the biggest things that made it the hardest for me was, yes, there was a storm came in, but standing there when it's perfect weather and when the pilots are willing to go back in, when every single branch, I mean, the Rangers went
all of them,
every branch willing to go in, and we're hearing reports, guys are going in to the control tent, coming back out. Hey, there's somebody waving from the crash site. Hey, we're getting an emergency beacon here. We just always thought, okay, we're going to go in. Never leave a man behind. We're going in. And then just this waiting and this delaying. And that's been the hardest thing for me to grasp. And I know for guys that were on the other end, is that we wanted to come in and help you guys.
Oh, we know.
And help the guys at the crash site. And this is this thing of leadership to where leaving guys behind in order to save your 06 Eagle or your Star. And in turn, they do things like they did to JD Donaldson, like they're doing to Brad Geary, to where if they'll throw a guy under the bus administratively, they're going to leave guys to die when it comes down to things. And when we were talking about movies earlier, honestly, the best movie that I can give to put this into perspective is Rambo 2 with Murdoch.
Oh, come up now.
That's exactly what happened. Was they were told, you guys were only supposed to take pictures. If they only took pictures, and nothing would have happened, and just abort the mission. And of course, what are we going to do? Because I thought about it too back in Bagram. I talked to some of the guys, said, what do we do? Are we going to do, because we felt guilty. Are we doing the right thing by standing here? Are we betraying the brotherhood by not taking it upon ourselves to go do something? But I look back now, because it was the point where some of us were talking about we were going to storm some places with some guns raised and acquire stuff, and all that would have done, we would have probably got shot, or we'd be breaking big rocks and the little rocks still at Leavenworth. And so just to kind of put that in perspective, is this just from this side, this is just how we
I heard.
We wanted to come.
I've heard from people that weren't in our community that you guys went in to go to do that.
Yeah, like to go talk to, like,
yeah, I've heard all that.
Being in complete desperation, like, let us go out there and help our guys. And I know that for you, I mean, Marcus has his own, you know, trauma or whatever you want to call it from that whole week. But even guys like you that were there on the other side have your own stuff that you're dealing with too, just because you didn't get to do what you really wanted to do. You didn't get to go help your guys.
Then Monday, July 4th, me and John hung up some of the STV1 guys as flags. We all cleaned out the dead Echo guys' rooms. And I talked to Lance by the burn barrel. He's got questions about God. Definitely a lot of guys were starting to ask questions about things. And me and John did the inventories. 2 bodies were identified as Danny's and Murphy's. The STV-1 guys from the deceased guys platoon came in.
Mm-hmm.
Your boys ended up coming in. And then Marcus came and talked to us and told some of the stuff that happened. Danny's and Murphy's death hit home afterwards. So when you came and talked to all of us,
I remember.
it was
Barely, but I remember that.
Even like after losing all the guys and everything that had happened, just you embodied everybody. And just to see that you made it, just that was a piece. Like that legit gave us some peace.
Sure.
To just,
bro, I remember sitting in there and going, I was like, man, I was waiting on y'all to come get me, kind of to throw a joke out just a little bit. And Pinky, I remember looking up and looking at his face, like you don't know how hard I was looking for you, like to drop 20 pounds in a week. Dude, that kind of just all these injuries. I was trying to be humorous, but it didn't come across that way. And I'll never forget that. They never said anything to me about it, but I was just kind of like, I could tell how much it had hit y'all when I came in there. I could feel it. Yeah, I got quartered out of there right after that, but I remember that.
Yeah, like you represented everybody to us. I mean, that was just, it was something, I mean, I can't really describe it.
Sure.
I mean,
because we're still looking for acts, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Until July 11th, I think. Is that in your book?
July 10th. Yeah,
July
I got
10th,
it in there. And then Tuesday, July 5th, we had a ramp ceremony for Murphy Danny and a Marine who had died. I was a pallbearer for Danny. That was the hardest. I cried since Granny passed away in the platoon. And then the STV-2 Blackwater guys waited the gallon uniform. And then we hung out and stuff. Mac left on the plane with the bodies. Me and John read it out Danny's room a bit, then did the ordnance inventory. And then one of the support you were saying about how people got me and Danny mixed up. She was crying because she thought I was dead from the crash. Under Danny died on the ground, but she had thought that I, was one of the ones. Then Wednesday, July 6th, we just did inventories and stuff. Nothing happened. Thursday, July 7th, same thing. We read out Danny's room. Nothing happened. Friday, July 8th, we prepped gear. We had a warning order, PLO. We went on an op to find Matt Axelson, who'd been missing since June 28th. We stopped at Abad, then inserted via helos onto a terrace field at night. We linked up with some Rangers, then went to sleep on a hill. Saturday, July 9th, we left at dawn and patrolled. I was part of the point man element and wore my Chuck Taylors. Everyone thought I was crazy. It was just, at the Tom Brown school, they told us,
bro, I wear them
Chuck Taylors
religiously.
He loves his
Yeah.
Chuck Taylors.
Religiously.
they told us that there was the closest thing to moccasins at the time other than moccasins. So I was like, I'm going to wear the Chuck Taylors. And yeah,
That's all I wore when I was diving.
yeah, they're great for the water and the jungle. Too.
Man, everything. Yeah. They're actually pretty comfortable when you first get to go. Not
Yeah.
bad, right?
I still wear them.
I still wear them. I work in them.
Yeah. I don't wear them when I'm cutting firewood because I've dropped some pieces of firewood.
They're not
on
real
my feet.
protective. Yeah, exactly. You got to
Yeah.
have boots too, but
Yeah.
they're great.
A local man offered to guide us up a trail. We stopped at a house and the Valley Elder had a meeting with us. That was cool. A boy, then the Elder, guided us up to another village and we stayed there the rest of the day. The kids kept hanging around us. One boy could shoot walnuts out of a tree with a slingshot. I thought that was pretty cool. We'd just point to a walnut and he'd hit it with his slingshot. And then Sunday, July 10th, we split up into different elements to try to find Axelson. We had some locals go with us as guides. We hiked up some of the steepest mountains I've ever been on. Me and one of your guys were on point. Some people saw some Afghanis who they thought were Taliban.
You got Garrett?
Yeah. I did
Great
say
dude.
some
He's
guys
out.
said,
He's
okay.
fine. Yeah, it's Garrett.
Yeah.
He's definitely a tracker.
I was in a zone when we went to get Axe's body since we thought we might get contacted. Basically, what had happened was they sent me and Garrett, I think, about 100 yards in front of everybody. Rangers had a big security line, probably a mile off, and then there was Team 10 scattered around. There was a small group of us, and then said, me and Garrett, go ahead. We went 100 yards that way if there was an ambush, baby traps, anything like that. And so that's just why I was saying I was in a zone where I was just like, okay, here we go. Like, this is
bait.
Sending us up as bait.
Yeah, bait.
No. And then we found Axe's body. I'm not gonna read about that. I never want to see anything like that again. We said a prayer, then put him in a body bag and went back to the camp. Me, Dave, Pinky, Luke, and James were on watch on a hill and talked a while. Resupplied bundle almost landed on us. We heard reports of movement in our area, and an AC-130 began firing in the middle of the night, and it was kind of scary because we thought we were going to get ambushed then. And then Monday, July 11th, we just headed back, and it was pretty much after that. Next couple of days, we just inventoried gear and flew back a week later. Whenever we got back, it was trying to think of the word's slipping right now, where you had all this stuff happen, and then just at the end, what's that word called? It's like nothing. Nothing. Sorry, I'm not sure the word, but Monday, July 18th, we had a layover in Ramstein, Germany. So this is, 8 days after that. It was hot and humid. And then our SDV2 guys, Mac, JD, and Oz were there to get us. Rode with Oz, we just went to Roost Chris and we ate with them and their families. And that was just kind of when we got back. It was just
back to normal.
Just flew in on it.
Happens just like that.
Just that's all it happened. It wasn't
fly in, offload, change of clothes, walk back out to the world.
We actually had the customs guy got on board after everything that happened. We landed. The customs guy got on board. I didn't write this in here, but he's yelling and screaming, "Everybody better put this down. There better not be anything like that." I'm just like, do you know what just happened? Where we're just coming from, and you're yelling and screaming. But there were our boys. Boys came and got us. Yep, took us to the team, and we just go out and eat, and it was,
that's how we did it.
That's how we did it, and then went home on leave, and then that was it.
Who's in your family? You had said that like you had called your mom during that. Is she who you talk to when you just need like some spiritual guidance or something like that? Is she your point person for that?
There was still that thing of I just, you come up to your mom when you need, and when you're feeling sad,
Did she say anything to you when you got home that just really hit home or helped you with everything?
Just seeing they were crying both out of sadness and just happiness, and just I felt that love to just know that they legit cared all those years they put in when, just trying to raise you and everything, and just
I'll let you see how much they would have missed you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's the only time you can get in that situation.
Yep.
From how much thought I put into that, there are some unique situations that you can be put in,
mm-hmm.
that you will receive like emotion from somebody that no other situation will present, and that's one of them.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where you can just look at something and just kind of nod, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just one of them that my parents had that love that I needed, and it made me a lot closer then with my brother AJ, my sister Lydia, just closer with the family and everything. So it was.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Super makes me cry over here. Just,
Bro, Dell kept a journal of when he got a hold of me when I got back, and wrote all that out through my transitional period. I need to get that to you, and you can read that. That's pretty. Like, all the guys kept notes.
Mm-hmm.
One day, maybe we'll get them all together.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
if everyone was willing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for keeping that and coming out here and
Yeah.
doing this, brother.
So, out of all of that, to move the emotion, what are you doing now?
A number of different stuff kind of bouncing all over the place. I'm a environmental inspector for a company called Whipper Hill. We work on natural gas pipelines, and it's one of these jobs that I tell people what I do, and especially telling team guys, they're like, how can I work there? Sometimes I have to work with crews kind of putting back repaired if there's mini landslides or something like that. But in general, I just walk. It's big boy rules. Hey, you have this section and that section to walk this day, whether it's rain or shine, hot or cold. Am I by myself?
Sounds like being a team. Yeah.
being in the team, just walking in the woods, walking through farm fields, just rural areas, looking for.
Oh, that's right up your alley.
And I'd get the track. I get to just, it's great. Just
Yeah.
monitoring vegetation growth, streams and wetlands. And we joke around, kind of call it environmental intelligence gathering. It's kind of,
You got married.
It's your
I got-
recon.
this
Yeah.
was my recon.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect job for you, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're it's too much to talk about with you, man. Your path coming out from, I forget who I ran into. I was like, hey, man, you seen Ben lately? He's like, he's in a log cabin, got an old hound, wearing overalls, happy as he can be. I'm like, good. That sounds just like him. But then you got married. Now you have a kid.
Yep. Married, have a 2-year-old son,
Congratulations. What's his name?
Christopher
Middle name?
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Named after friend of mine. He was JD's old roommate, actually used to play music, taught me a lot by music. He was from Berryville. So I learned the old country music style of Carter family country, and died of cancer a few years back. Just kind of named his middle name that. And that was, Christopher was her father's name.
That's the best job ever, man, being a dad. Being a father.
Absolutely.
It's hard. And not like people think. Not like we think. It was different. Because you hear our chiefs and everybody who were going through it, like, hey, it's tough, man. I'm like, nah, what are you talking about?
Are your parents still in the same house?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying a 51-acre farm a couple miles away from them. And I'm trying to,
Nice.
that's why I was wanting to talk to you guys about the farming you're doing. Like,
It's the best way, man, for us, especially like guys like us, man, just being outside and around them. It's peaceful. Far cry from where we were.
And it's one of those things too, of just the things you learn in the teams of problem solving. And
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and planning and working hard to where you're applying it now. I'm trying to do the rotational grazing, kind of the Joel Salatin style. I got to actually go to that farm a couple months ago with the SEAL Future Foundation. We went to Polyface Farm there.
Oh, cool.
Spent 2 days learning the rotational grazing and everything. And it's just you're planning, you're problem solving, you're seeing this, and it's great. It's for that OCD team guy mind.
Plenty of stuff to do.
Absolutely.
That's right.
It's always something to do.
You have chickens?
Not yet, because I work the pipeline in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And so my dad
yeah.
takes care of the cows I'll try to make it home during the week, and then on some weekends, and then try to do that. So right now I'm living in the apartment. I'm trying to do the pay as I go thing, trying to pay off. I don't even have a house yet. So I've been living off grid whenever I'm there, and I was in a canvas tent.
Oh my gosh.
Now that I have a son, you have to be civilized now and
You have
kind
to
of
have
do
four
that.
walls.
Yeah.
All right, bro. You're gonna have to we're gonna have to put you in some walls, man. Well, right on, brother. Thanks again for doing this. Great job, man.
Great seeing you.
Yeah.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.